At 5, I had a traumatic deal. My dad decided he liked other women outside of my mom more than he liked us. So he left us. My mom worked 3 jobs. At 7, decided I wanted to play football. I went up to the park, which was probably 200-300 yards away from our house. We basically tryouts was they put you on a team, and I was with a guy named Sal, and he was kind of like the kingpin coach down there. So I turned, I grabbed the ball, and I ran around the end. I thought I'd done good, you know. I thought I'd done really good. Nobody touched me. I was in the end zone. But Sal, he had the safari hat, and that's what postmen used to wear a long time ago. Listen, I'm 50 years old. It seems like yesterday, and this just tells you what seeds in your life, how long they last with you. Sal threw that hat at me, and he called me some names, guys. I went to agony, misery, and heartbreak hill at Fort Knox, Kentucky, going through basic, and I had drill sergeants that talked to me that way. But it took a kid that's countenance was up, and it dropped me. I was devastated. I cried. I can remember, like I said yesterday, my dad had abandoned us. Now the next guy in my life that I looked up to was a mailman who was a football coach. He had abandoned me, and another year goes by. I wanted to really play football. I went and talked to my mom, and she made it real clear. You cannot quit. I'm not going to quit. They send us back down there. We go line up on this wall, and when they line you up, the coaches stand out in front, and I'm not real smart, but I can count. And I looked out there, and you go here, you go there, you go here, and I'm going to go to Sal again. I was a little nervous. I went from being on top of everything to being nervous. Sal got to me, and he looked dead at me, and he said, "That kid's a crybaby. He quit last year. I don't want him." He said it that loud. The kid's head that was up here dropped a little bit. Well, Sal's kingpin coach, and the next 2 guys, they want to be kingpin, so they don't want to cry baby either. So they come out and say it. And by that time, my head's dropped, and my world's kind of breaking up. That's where God kind of stepped in. He did. This 27-year-old guy named Antonio is a Cuban refugee. He walked over there and put his arm around my shoulder. He said, "Buddy, you can play with me." I went from being dejected. I'd already been abandoned by my dad and then Sal, and he's been put back. And then this guy comes up out of nowhere. It's a Cuban refugee. This guy doesn't have any kids. He says, "You can play with me." I told you, I mentioned earlier, we live pretty close to the field, 300 yards. But every day he would come pick me up. He had green El Camino, and he had this girlfriend named Gina, and I can remember him. He never said anything to me about football. He always asked me how my mom was doing. He asked me if I was doing my schoolwork, if I was helping take care of my brother. I had a younger brother. He made a big difference in my life. First man ever, he taught me how to shake hands, look a man in the eye when you talk to him. He's the first man ever prayed with us. Prayed with us every day. 8 years old, I saw him. I was with him for a season of football. And that was it. I've been dealing with kids for 25 years. I've had a chance to lead a bunch of them to Christ. I've been able to pray with literally over 2,000 young men that didn't have hope, didn't have anybody that cared, didn't have anybody that would stand in the gap for them. And that seed that Antonio planted 1972, 1973 is alive and well. It's being propagated. God's using it.
How great the love of Jesus Christ. Upon the cross of Calvary, the blood was shed that pardons me. No longer bound